So this is representing the sign. So some of the graphics I'm going to take and just copy it on there. So everything that's on this layer, I'm just going to make a copy of, lock it, and hide this one. Hide this one. This is the logo, so I'm coming to this layer to select a new one right above it, and this will just give it a title, logo graphics right there, and just go ahead and paste it on there. So I have the sign there in case there's a few things I might borrow from it. I'm going to go to View and Show Rulers, or Command R. So when you hit Command R, your ruler's up here, and give myself an approximate center for this. Make it really accurate. I could try to trace over it with a circular section, at least come close to it, just to give me a ballpark idea of it. And just move this right up on the top there and give myself a vertical guide right there. So this is the fill stroke. Just going to take the fill off of this. So just kind of hit X and just take none. So now I have this piece. The background logo, I'm just going to dim it down so I can see through some of this. And you can, again, that was at 50. I'm just going to put it at 30 to dim that section down. So now I have the outside edge of the circle, and can start to build that up. Give it a little bit of a thickness to it at least. Take another circle, Command Shift and delete. So if you have things selected, you can deselect them, use the keystroke for it. Option to set it in the middle out. Okay. And in this case, I don't need the stroke. I'm just going to fill it with that color with the eyedrop tool and temporarily go to Object and just hide that selection, so I don't really need that one there. With this text, I have this section up at the top. You can see this whole sign is grouped together. Just ungroup it. I'm just going to take some of this text from here, as you can see. So it has this sign on it, and I'll give it a color just so I can see it. Object, ungroup that, and take that star and just set it off to the side. So that's the text. I'm going to put it on the circle. So I'm going to take a option and set the circle for the base of it. Okay, Command X, so I can just put it's a green line there. Take the text tool and just highlight this, only because it's from the sign, and it might make it just a little bit easier to take. Here's type on a path. Click on it. It gives me the preset for it. I'm going to click on the align to center and just paste. So now it has that piece placed in the center. Center that, and take the direct selection tool. And that allows me to grab the center line along with the left and right margin lines. I'm going to leave those and just grab the center one, drag it across, and put it right to the top of that section. And you'll see it fits in there pretty good. And for all purposes, I could go ahead and just place the star in there, but I want to kind of make it centered, so I'm going to try doing another option, which is called a glyph. So under Window, Type, there's a file called glyph, and inside here you can click the text tool. So let's see, I'll click it right there, and say this D, for example, if I double click on it, it'll place it into that file as a text. It's just not a character that's normally used, but they do have them placed in there, and when you scroll down you can see you have all types of pieces, so you don't have to draw them by hand. And if you come down at the bottom and type in symbol, or at least to get a little bit of it started, let's see, symbol, hit return, it'll give me the symbols that are there, and I don't see a star. And let's see, if this will do it here. So here's the star, so I can just double click on, that's going to do it. So there's the star shape right there. And you can see that this type is placed in there. And I can close this up again. And using the option and the arrow key is the part that sets up the spacing on that, if you remember. And I can also option and decrease this part. So since I've used the previous lettering from the sign, I'm just modifying it and adjusting this part, setting that part, and then placing that across. Okay, so once I have it, there it is. I take the text tool again to highlight this particular star shape, and under the character palette, so if I don't have that open, which I tend to have right here, there's a baseline down at the bottom I can click on and increase or decrease that depending on its scale, and I can also increase the size of it and modify it that way. So it's right through the panel that makes that happen. So that gives me that copy. To do the Ohio City, I'm just going to take this jack, I'll just move it, put it back, edit, copy it, and go to edit and paste it in place, and it puts it exactly on top of it. Take the direct selection tool, and again, this part gets very tricky, but there's the line for it, and I just drag it around to the bottom and flip it over to the top of this line, the circle. Gets a little tricky here, let's see. And so that would be the Ohio City, so I'm just going to take the text tool, highlight this, type in Ohio, type in this one. So there I have that section to it. Let's see, take the text tool, select everything, and in the character palette, go right down into the bottom and just offset the section there. And you'll see that the type, when it does that, gets a little wide for the tracking, so I'm just going to decrease it a little bit, line it up to that spot right there. Okay, so it's relatively easy to do for that section. It says urban and shop is italics, so I'm just going to take this same jack flap and I could start from scratch. I'm just going to take, I just duplicated this part, and the text tool, and the tricky part is I have to get out of everybody's way here because I'm picking up the other lettering. Take the text tool, take flaps, and just type in urban. And under the character, you can see it has bold and oblique, so you can highlight that. And click on that one, and that gives me that section to drop down here. Just make it a little bit smaller. And you can see the line right there for the section for the type. Option and duplicate it. And just place that right in there. So it makes it pretty easy to reproduce here. Make that fit in there. And just highlight it, move it over a bit with the section there. And then for the breakfast here, let's see if I can take a copy of this, ungroup that section, place that right on top. Okay. Okay, so pretty much you have the logo. Just go to Object and Show All. Took a piece that was out there, place that behind it. So you have all the type, the fonts, and everything placed in there. Just going to move this up and put a copy of it down here to work from later if I need to. And And that gives you that particular section. Now the piece that has the, let's see if it'll show up here. Double click the hand tool, sets it back onto the page. Let's see. So here's all the lettering, at least the ring, the circle itself is going to be cut out. So I'm just going to go to Object and lock that selection. Or Command 2, so that'll do it. And take this type. Now this type, in order for it to be a part that will cut through something, has to be turned into outline. So I'm just going to select all of this type, move it so you can see, and then put it back. And just go to Type, and you'll see where it says Create Outlines. And that's that part. And now you can punch it through these sections here. So here's all the type. Here's this. Pathfinder brings it all through. So now it's a cut-in section. Group it all together. Set it down here. And then just take a color, shape, and put it behind it so you can see that now that image will bring through. So since it's a cutout piece for a graphic, if you sent this to a sign company in order to print that, they would have the segment all ready to go.